We continue with grading, working on this small water detail. Here's a shot of a scene that is roughly in your workflow. And the first thing we do is use the base settings to bring out these colors and separate the reds. We see that by adding contrast and the mood that has been created here, which is really bad. We need to fix it. The first thing I do is I want to do this with color space transform. Set the input gamma to wide gamut for color space and set the input gamma to intermediate for the highlights. This will cover almost all the colors. It will effectively manage and address these specific issues to a certain extent. Now I carefully apply the solution and it goes directly into the first layer. Once it is in the first layer, I check the area once again to identify the exact location where my problem is residing, and then I fix it by opening up that specific layer. You can clearly see the wide variety of color ranges within its own specially protected color space. I am honestly trying my best to carefully observe every single one of the available spaces. So right now I find myself in a bit of a frustrating and difficult mental state. Now I will go ahead and firmly press the Auto P button, Auto P, and once more Auto P. By going back directly to the original layer itself, I will significantly decrease the shadow levels as much as possible so that we can clearly see the shadows in the image. In just about another minute or so, I'll also guide you through the details of the shadow area. Within this particular layer, I'm going to carefully perform some specific adjustments to bring the shadows as close to a value of 0 as possible. Next, I adjust the layer settings to 896. Now I'm going to move on to the next layer, specifically within the section that is called Primary Light Build Shadow. To continue the process, I'm going to bring this setting back down close to 0 once again, carefully adjust the highlights to balance the image, and then in this specific section I will slightly increase the sharpness to enhance the detail. After that I will exit the current layer and work on finalizing the overall contrast. In this particular section of the video I am going to fine-tune the contrast levels even further so that you can clearly see the final result of these adjustments. Up to this point, even though the colors haven't been added yet, you can see that the contrast in these factors is very good. Now I separate the color section, add saturation, and exit the layer. You notice what kind of contrast. It's really strong. At this moment, what do? You can see that the orange colors in this work have really stood out. I gradually increase that specific part and carefully reduce this other part. And then in the subsequent stages of the process, I will try to incorporate a vibrant teal color into the entire work. And in this specific section of the process, I carefully adjust the skin tones to ensure that there is absolutely nothing unusual or unnatural appearing in the skin tones. Looking over at the vector scope, we can clearly see the data and try our best to keep everything perfectly balanced within its proper designated range. I push the magentas toward the skin tones. Looking closely, we can clearly see the bright highlights, specifically the vibrant green and cyan tones in this particular area. We really need to try our best to keep the color cut looking very clean and sharp, and not let it go outside of these areas. Now I'm saying that the color in your name will be used differently. You see, it's easy. Most of the colors we want to apply to the work, whether we want to create contrast in the right layers, how should I put it? Or if we want to give a sense of warmth, or if we want to give a sense of coolness. I really want to create a completely different feeling from the previous work for them, so if I decide that I want to add a genuine sense of warmth, I can certainly do that. Or I can carefully balance it all out and adjust it exactly how I want. I select this layer and go into the effects panel, and I try to separate these two characters that are in the middle of the image from the rest. In this layer I try to, because there's a significant amount of blending with the surrounding interior space, I carefully try to myself define the boundaries of our space. Within this specific layer or mask for the person who is currently masking, I will first focus my attention on this mask. Furthermore, right here we can perform some detailed color correction, ensuring that the skin tone is as perfectly accurate as we want it to be. For example, we can create a very slight adjustment on the head area just very slightly, and if we find that we need the glow effect, we can certainly solve that with the glow effect as well, if it is deemed necessary for the final look. Positioned just outside of this specific layer, right here in the workspace, we can also choose to incorporate a real light source. By doing this, we can effectively give a much stronger sense of focus and visual prominence to the character. Alternatively, we have the option to use various other professional effects, such as adjusting the depth of field or fine-tuning the environmental settings to perfectly suit the scene's overall composition and mood. We can also leave some areas on the character itself untouched. And starting from this exact point in time, the render should successfully arrive at this specific location. And starting from this exact point in time, I should really want to carefully synchronize and align it with the audio track. And at the very end of the process, maybe I will also provide a brief mention regarding the filming process as well. And I should mention the filming process, and with this from the sound boom until now, I should render so I can continue. Very good. We have to do everything together and coordinate. You can see that the work has a cinematic look and really good contrast because the skeletons have proper layers and the characters themselves are hidden and the background has a cold tone. All the layers have been color corrected, the colors have been adjusted, and in these parts everything is sharp and looks really good. You can see that the fabric textures are completely visible from here and the details have been captured very well. Thank you for watching the city scene. I hope you practice a lot and have a great day.